just within the past hour now, John Weldon, the man accused of giving his girlfriend a drug that caused her miscarriage, gets more prison time than he expected. Our Jacqueline Inglese was the first one to bring you this story, and she joins us live tonight. Jacqueline?
Well, inside this federal courtroom just a few minutes ago, I looked on as the judge looked John Weldon square in the eye, told him what he did was evil. He called him a coward and told him that because of all of this, he needed to make an example out of him, ultimately giving him 13 years and 8 months behind bars. We did hear from that 29-year-old in court today. He did get up and give testimony, his voice shaking and begging for mercy. He said what he did was inexcusable. He was also somewhat on edge because the entire time he testified, Remy Jo Lee stood up and was staring him dead in the eye. We also had very emotional testimony from Lee today as well. She talked about how she was robbed of being a mother and went on to tell the courtroom how she had already named her unborn child Memphis. Now, I was the first reporter to break this story and to speak with Lee. When she came out of court this afternoon, she fell into my arms.
You mind if we see the picture that you had? Why don't you hold it up for us? What is it of?
This is my baby, Memphis. Remington Lee.
Feel bad?
Excuse me, ma'am.
Of course you feel bad?
Of course I'm remorseful for everything.
Now you can see I asked John Weldon a question as he left court. That is the first time he has ever answered reporters during the entirety of this case. Now, when the when this sentence was read, his father put his head down and cried. There were some members of his family who were hysterical. And the judge went on to tell him that justice is finally here, and he's ordering Weldon to turn himself into federal marshals Wednesday morning. We're live in downtown Tampa. Jacqueline Inglese, ABC Action News.
Many new developments tonight in the case surrounding John Weldon. He's the man who tricked his girlfriend into taking a pill that caused her miscarriage. A judge's decision tonight means that Weldon will likely spend the next decade behind bars. Our Jacqueline Inglese has been on this story since we broke it last year. She's live in downtown Tampa outside the federal courthouse. Jacqueline?
Well, after a very emotional day here at federal court, John Weldon is back at his parents' house tonight. Now, a judge just told him it's a place that he is not going to be seeing for a very long time. And that is what brought his normally stone-faced father to tears.
I want a future for him, and I'm still praying for a miracle.
What Dr. Stephen Weldon wants, he won't likely be getting. The only foreseeable future for his 28-year-old son, John, a 13 to 15-year stint behind bars. Were you disappointed?
Yes, our experts were world-renowned.
A federal judge says he was not impressed by the lofty resumes of the defense's medical experts and sided with the prosecution's conclusion that the one pill of Cytotec John Weldon tricked his girlfriend Remy Jo Lee into taking caused Lee to lose her baby at 6 weeks. Despite some calling Weldon's actions disgraceful and even diabolical, his parents are standing by him.
He's a wonderful person.
Weldon pleaded guilty, but he was not anticipating that he will not be a free man until he's in his early 40s.
How's John holding up? I think that he was hoping for something different today.
Lee did not come to court today, but her parents did, and they got what they hoped for, but just weren't ready to talk about it.
We're going to speak with you guys later.
Lee's mother didn't need to speak. Her reaction in court said it all. I was sitting next to her as the judge gave his ruling. She'd been holding her breath for quite some time and finally let out a sigh of relief and began to cry. A judge will sentence Weldon now on January 27th. We're live in downtown Tampa. Jacqueline Inglese, ABC Action News.
The fate of a man who admitted to tricking his girlfriend into taking a pill that caused her to miscarry is now in the hands of a federal judge. Our Jacqueline Inglese was the first to bring you this story, and she joins us live now with the very latest. Jacqueline?
Well, Linda, court just wrapped up here in the past 30 minutes, and it came to a very unexpected end. The woman at the center of all of this, Remy Jo Lee, did not take the stand. Now, it was just 2 hours ago that our cameras were rolling when Lee walked into the federal courthouse here, flanked by her mother and her attorney. They were there for her support. We were told by her attorney that she was ready to once again relive losing her baby. but that the judge decided that it just simply was not necessary at this point in the sentencing hearing. Instead, we heard from 3 medical experts that defense attorneys called today. One of those, an obstetrician who may have inadvertently bolstered the prosecution's case when she testified under oath that under no circumstance would she ever give a pregnant woman any dosage of Cytotec. Cytotec is what Remi Lee took. She only took one of those pills. Now, it was yesterday that prosecutors argued their case. They had 2 witnesses that took the stand. Now, again, we want to reiterate out here, this is not about guilt. John Weldon has already pleaded guilty in this case. We'll be back here at court tomorrow at 1 o'clock. That is when the judge will determine what the proper sentencing range is to fit this crime. For now, though, we're live in downtown Tampa. Jacqueline Ingles, ABC Action News.
Some big news in the case of John Weldon. He's the man who admitted to tricking his pregnant girlfriend into taking a pill that caused her to miscarry.
Let's go right out live to our Jacqueline Ingles with more information. Jacqueline?
Well, in just the past hour, we learned that the woman at the center of all of this, Remi Jo Lee, will be here in court today and will testify. Now, until that time, defense attorneys are calling their 3 medical experts to the stand, and they're pulling out all the stops in this sentencing hearing, even flying in a reproductive specialist from New York City who's a consultant for the World Health Organization. Now, that expert testified that 1 dose of Cytotec, which is what Lee took, would unlikely cause her to have an abortion. But this expert could still not rule out that this is what caused Lee to lose her baby. Now, it was yesterday that prosecutors laid out their argument in the case, calling 2 witnesses to the stand. Again, though, they're counting on the emotional testimony of Remi Lee this afternoon. They're hoping that'll have some impact on the judge's sentencing. Coming up at 5, I'll bring you that testimony and take you inside of that courtroom. For now, though, we're live in downtown Tampa. Jacqueline Ingles, ABC Action News.
We're tracking new developments this noon in the John Weldon case. A federal judge will hear expert witnesses from both sides in the case of a man accused of tricking his girlfriend into taking a pill that she says forced her to miscarry their child. Our Eric Waxler joins us live from the federal courthouse in downtown Tampa, where Weldon will learn his fate early next year. Eric?
Yeah, this morning here, the U.S. attorney said this is a very rare and unique case. Even though Weldon has already pled guilty to some charges, the judge will hear from witnesses before he decides how much prison time Weldon will get. The final step before John Weldon's sentencing will come next month, when medical experts will tell a federal judge if they think a drug called Cytotec caused Remi Jo Lee to have a miscarriage.
I think what our experts say is that one cannot know, that the state of science and the state of medical research just doesn't permit that answer.
Lee was Weldon's pregnant girlfriend, and Weldon admits he tricked her into taking a pill that she thought was an antibiotic. While Weldon's attorney will call 2 doctors and a pharmacologist, prosecutors say they have 2 doctors that will testify the drug did indeed cause Lee to lose the baby. Weldon pled guilty to product tampering and mail fraud, but prosecutors say that tampering caused serious and possibly permanent injury to Lee. The U.S. Attorney's Office says while they will present witnesses, they believe if the defense calls rebuttal witnesses, that would breach the plea deal. But Judge Richard Lazara doesn't agree and will give both sides the same opportunity.
He's a federal United States District Court judge. He has the final say, for sure. And it's within his province. You know, that's a legitimate and entirely appropriate exercise of discretion.
Weldon is under house arrest. He was here for a hearing on Monday but did not show up today. Meanwhile, the judge did loosen some of the restrictions against him while he's under house arrest. There are armed guards that are there watching him. They no longer have to be there 24 hours a day. They can go 12 hours a day as long as Weldon's parents are there to keep an eye on him. Live in downtown Tampa, Eric Waxler, ABC Action News.
Closure in another case getting national attention.
Yeah, a Tampa man who is facing a possible life sentence for tricking his girlfriend into taking an abortion pill is cutting a deal with prosecutors. His guilty plea means he will be a free man, but not before some serious jail time. Our John Thomas is live outside of the federal courthouse for us tonight. John?
Well, the judge was meticulous. He stepped through the plea deal with Weldon, making sure that he understood what he was giving up. And what he was giving up was his right to a jury trial. Weldon kept saying, I know, I agree. So the judge signed off on it. And so as of today, John Weldon is guilty.
Another 2 months to wait for the final word?
Without saying a word, John Weldon would head straight into a vehicle and leave the federal courthouse. This after pleading guilty in court to tampering with a consumer product and conspiracy to commit fraud. In plain English, Weldon accepted responsibility for forging his father's signature, Dr. Stephen Weldon, and then giving his then pregnant girlfriend, Remy Lee, Cytotec, an abortion pill, telling her it was only an antibiotic, amoxicillin.
Obviously, it's tragic all around from every angle.
Todd Foster, who represents Weldon, would talk about Weldon and how he reached his decision to accept the plea deal. Consultations with his attorneys, and obviously close personal discussions with his family. The harsh reality is, though, John Weldon is now looking at serious jail time.
Nobody wants to go to prison for 13 years, 8 months, but this is where we are.
It's a much different, harsh reality for Remy Lee.
Nothing is ever going to bring back what was taken from her.
Lee would also remain silent at the courthouse, but her attorney, Gil Sanchez, would express how she and her family feel about the plea deal and Weldon's acceptance of guilt.
We are satisfied that he did come up to the plate and he did admit to his guilt. And again, he's now a convicted double felon and who will remain that way for the rest of his life.
For Weldon now, the rest of his life begins December 5th because that's when he's back here at the courthouse, and that is when he's going to be sentenced in Tampa. John Thomas, ABC Action News, back to you.
He is accused of giving his girlfriend a pill that caused her to have a miscarriage. Now at 6, the price John Weldon's family is willing to pay to get him out of jail. Good evening, I'm Serena Fazan.
And I'm Jamison Euler. Wendy and Brendan are off tonight. John Weldon is out of jail and at his parents' house tonight. And he's also being watched around the clock by security officers. Our Carson Chambers is live at the federal courthouse in downtown Tampa, where Weldon left in handcuffs this afternoon. Carson?
Well, Jamison, when he came down the steps here at the federal courthouse, you could tell they had a shirt sort of draped over those handcuffs. We couldn't actually see them, but it is a telling sign of a strict house arrest. The man accused of tricking his girlfriend into taking an abortion pill that ended her pregnancy walked out of federal court a free man. He was wearing shorts, flip-flops, and a long-sleeve tee and didn't have a thing to say.
Mr. Weldon, did you give her Cytotec?
John Andrew Weldon was surrounded by security officers who whisked him away in a black Hummer from the U.S. courthouse in downtown Tampa to his house arrest. But Weldon's house arrest at his parents' Odessa home won't be a cakewalk. As the black Hummer took him to the front door, the terms of 2 bonds, totaling $350,000, kicked in. Weldon gave up his passport. 2 security officers will monitor him 24 hours a day inside the home. He's also wearing a GPS ankle bracelet and can't go anywhere outside of court or a medical appointment. All the locks on the home have been rekeyed, including a door to his bedroom. Security officers are the only ones who have that key. And finally, Weldon can only visit with immediate family members or his attorneys. Outside the home, someone posted a no trespassing sign on a tree, and only his attorney, Todd Foster, who spoke with ABC Action News prior, gave us insight into the home incarceration.
He's their son, and they want him to be home with them, and he wants to be home with them as well. I think any parent would understand that sentiment.
And Weldon is not to have any contact with the victim, Remy Lee. I did contact her attorneys today, and they didn't have anything to say about Weldon's release. Live in downtown Tampa, I'm Carson Chambers, ABC Action News.